I like to start the presentation. So if I can just share my screen with all of you. And yeah, so as you can see, this is the topic for today. I'm just going to hide my report panel so that it doesn't bother anybody right now. And today's topic is about the latest trends. And also, we are going to discuss some basic data statistics of what's really happening, what is the policy behind it, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. As you know, we are a law firm. We are a registered Canadian law firm in Canada, wherein our office is based in Mississauga. And we also have one Dubai office by the name of Shireen Kapoor Immigration Services. So in both the places, we are trying to be physically present, but we have offices in both places, but we do not have any other branch. And I think that because of some, confusion, there can be, but we don't have any branch in India or Pakistan. Most of our clients, we are dealing from these two offices. Internationally, we are available on Zoom call in this virtual world, so it doesn't really matter. Our website is, as you can see, it's as-law.com, and once you go there, you will be able to find all the solutions that we provide. It's very important, I believe, in Canadian immigration to not feel that whatever is possible for one person, same case is possible for you. So keep in mind that what might work for your sibling also might not work for you, and hence we have a policy of getting a tailor-made solution. That is why I always tell people that, do not shy away from taking a legal consultation and seeking help of professionals, because unless you are doing that, you are not saving some pennies from the starting, but you're actually going to waste a lot of time, energy, effort, as well financial resources in the end. So have a strategy in place. Like any other law, treat immigration also as a subject of law, and it has its own policies, administrative rules, changes, etc., which can happen. It's very important to be pragmatic when it comes to immigration, and I always say that unless you are practical, you are going to be very frustrated and throughout the process. So it's always important to be practical, have a reasonable mind of what is good for your family and you and what is not. So yeah, on that basis, I always advise that take tailor-made advice, which is very important. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide. This is a little bit about me. When you get the presentation post our closing, then you'll be able to go through it. I have told, not to say that I'm very, very experienced. I'm not that old actually, but yeah. In any case, I have with throughout my immigration legal journey, I have a good amount of experience, practical experience to help people navigate the complex Canadian immigration. We deal with a lot of Asian community as well as people out here in Gulf, and that is the major client base for us. In case of rejection, also we are there for you, because I always think that, when it comes to immigration, nothing can be 100%. If somebody is telling you it's 100%, it's a red flag, believe me, because policies keep changing, government lookouts keep changing, their internal manuals keep changing, the way they assess their applications keep changing. But what remains constant is your effort of trying to figure it out realistically. So that is the only constant when it comes to immigration, as well how you have submitted your application. Now, if I feel that my case was submitted rightfully and there was no document problem or anything, that is when I take the matter to the court and say, hey, the IRCC officer made a mistake here, maybe procedural, maybe something administrative, maybe legal, whatever the mistake may be. I would go get those notes and fight the case in federal court. And many, many, many a times we have gone back to settlement with the immigration department, because that is what the IRCC ministry does, that they send it back to settlement. So yeah, that's just a bit of information about me. Topics that we will try to cover today are not just gonna be about the same programs that you hear, everywhere, the YouTube videos and other places on the net. I think information is bombarded on the net, and so many times people mix all that information, and mixing is the problem, because jo cheez simple bhi hoti hai, that also gets complex when it comes to getting too much of information, and that's the problem with the information bombardment these days. But today we are going to navigate some complexities in terms of law and policy of immigration. I'll give you some tips and tricks of each program, which are practical, which are not easily accessible, available, and that will help you know better about the kind of application you want to pursue or you are pursuing. agar you are already having some counsel or somebody on your file working for you, you'll be able to ask those questions. And yeah, they're just gonna make you more smart, I believe. With that, we will also be discussing some data and graph, because it is very important, I believe, to understand the immigration's back end work that is going on. What is Canadian statistics talking? What is the population growth looking like? Those kind of data is very important, because from data only the policy changes. If today if for example the labor market is in shortage, that is why the LMI success rate will go up. So those are the kind of things that we have to see. There is no blanket kind of policy. Everything is very different. I'm also going to debunk some of the myths that people talk about Canadian immigration along this entire PPT. I'll keep telling you that this is one of the kind of information that people are sharing, which is not correct. And this is the kind of myth that you have, which is again not correct. So I'm going to debunk some of the myths. To start with, we will just move on to the next slide. So this is the picture that you see here, the census data of 2021 of the Canadian population growth. Now, this is from Statistics Canada's website, and it is very important for you to first understand that how is the graph of Canadian population going. As you can see, the natural increase of population is completely on a decline mode. That is why the Canadian aging population is more. Canada has only way that they can actually fill in the tracts of the land is through immigration. And because of this, they are having good lenient I mean, there's no other first world country having such lenient immigration policies as the way Canada is having. Also, it wants people to come, but it doesn't want people to come blanketly. It also wants some kind of, I would say, strategy in terms of what kind of people they want to call, which is, I think, a right of any country. They can select and deselect people. And so the population growth is going from international migratory increase. As the international migratory increase is increasing, so is the graph of the population growth. So immigration is technically the only way that the population growth is going to increase in Canada. And this Canadian government, be it the Liberals, be it the other parties, everybody, they are going to know that this is the only way. The way of tweaking the immigration can be different, but immigration cannot stop. Like, they cannot afford to stop immigration, right? So this is one of the census data, and you can find this on the Statistics Canada website. So it's very important for you to understand this before we move on. Recent changes, I would actually elaborate on these changes a bit more than the information that is written on the screen for you. This is the immigration level plans that Canadian government has proposed for 2024 to 2026. Now, it's very important for us to understand that why these policy changes are coming in, and what is happening right now. The Canadian temporary resident applications in 2023, like all the TRVs, when it comes to study, the work, the visitor visa, they increased so much in 2023 that now the government is kind of in a fix that how to make these people, those temporary residents, into permanent residents, which is a good thing. So that means very soon, as Minister announced, they might just have a TR to PR pathway inside Canada, but those would be for people who are students. Some visitors are out of status. Some people, PGWP holders, which are completed their education, they are still working there, and those guys have no future as of now. The express entry score is so high. So those kind of policies are being implemented because of what they did in 2023, which was a blanket approval. They had good approval in 2023 for the TRVs. Now those people are going to be permanent residents, hopefully, if everything goes in line. But what happens to the immigration policy from outside Canada is what we are going to discuss right now. Economic class is approximately 58%. When it comes to economic class, they are talking about the federal skilled worker program and the 5 draws that they are going to focus on, which is the transportation, STEM draw, and all those other category based draws. Now, these category based draws are going to be the 75%. So 75% is going to be category based this year, and 25% is going to be general draws. Maybe slightly here and there, but yeah, this is the approximate figure. That means that if you are outside of Canada and you are looking at immigration through express entry through skilled program, either you are fitting into category based draws with the CRS that those category based draws are cutting off, or you are looking at coming into the pool with 520 plus score, because in general the score has not been less than that since past 6 7 months that we are observing. Um, so both ways, immigration, because the graph has gone up, the score has gone up. People are finding it very competitive to actually fill in those, fill in that gap and come in that particular pool. And that is why we have different routes available for different people, because some are not meeting the age criteria, some are not meeting the education criteria. Everything, even if it's idealistic, the CRS is so high that it's technically and possibly practically impossible right now. But Canada proposes to increase the economic class as well in these 2 years. Family class is again for people who are going through sponsorship, already your spouses, etc. is in Canada, and you're looking at that. Humanitarian class is actually the last resort when it comes to Canadian immigration, people who have failed all kind of other routes and are inside Canada since years and are able to establish, it is for them. Canada, as I said, plans to decrease temporary residence, and I do not, I say it very openly that yes, Canada should be doing that because of the number of people increasing in temporary residence, as I said, and last year. So when temporary residents are decreasing, that means your application will have stringent rules. If you are applying for any kind of work permit or study permit, it can have more chances of refusal because that is where the policy is bending towards. So it is very important the application you submit, everything is going to be through documents. So the application you submit is more realistically, more practical. Everything is on point. Officer does not have to figure out. Everything is arranged. Everything is given in, every particular lens of that law has been cleared through your documents, is what I think will get you a successful approval rate now in TRV application, even if it's a visitor, study, or work permit. So it can have a high rejection, and this is what you're going to see in this coming future. At least in this year, it will start. It has already started. Startup visa program, a good program though for business. It was supposed to be one of the strongest business immigration program, but due to some bad actors, it had huge backlogs. Now the backlog was so much so that files from 2021 and 2022 were being processed now. So you can imagine the kind of backlog that this program had got. Although the sense of this program initially when it started was to be for 12 months, a strong, an immigration program that people look at, that yes, Canada is providing a platform for entrepreneurs where even with investment or even with all the basic skills, people are still able to get faster processing time, unlike the Quebec investment program or the other investment programs. So this was supposed to be a good one. That is why now on 1st May they have changed and they have applied the quota system. So we'll just discuss each program in detail later on, but yeah, that's the gist about it. The second, sorry. I always say that you should have a realistic picture and of success ratio in this changing economic immigration policies, wherein they are trying to make everything stricter, but they cannot stop it, and they need to manage and balance both the sides, right? So the startup visa program, in my opinion, and plus this is not just my opinion. This is what I have figured out from my R&D research. It is policy guidelines, just studying about immigration since so many years, that starter visa program will have is having a success rate of 77.2%. When it comes to the owner operator LMI, as the business owner, once you run the operations of the business, it is going to be on 82.8%. Entrepreneurial provincial nomination programs are actually the least of what I think are workable because of their timelines. They have a very huge timeline, and after that, it's a lot of time wastage, I feel. But still, people inside Canada wanting to invest in a particular rural community or anything will have good this thing. Sometimes people want to buy a business inside those rural communities or even the areas that are designated under these provinces. So that has a 60 to 70% approval rate, in my opinion, because it has not been as effective as it was supposed to be. When it comes to work permits, they offer direct PR. Sorry, they don't offer direct PR. PR is only after work experience of particular minimum 12 months and maximum can depends on your CRS. First is the intra-company work permit. It has a very good success rate, and I will share with you the details how and why it has a success rate, which is good. But also, you need to see that in case it also depends on the kind of application documentation submitted. The other is the self-employed entrepreneur work permit, which is the called the C11 work permit. Now it is a substitute of many other programs and it is doing fairly well. So we will just move on to the next slide. So here I am discussing about the first program, which, as I said, is going to be the startup visa program. This program initially was made for people to come and invest in Canada in terms of bringing up their entrepreneurial and startup skills. Canada does like a lot of innovative and tech-based industries coming to Canada, entrepreneurs coming to Canada. Depending if you are starting a new venture here in Canada or you're bringing an existing startup to Canada, it will it will be vary the program. Qualifying venture depends on, of course, you need a qualifying venture, but how do you make it a qualifying venture? Actually, you and I don't do that. Business incubators, angel investors, and venture capitalists, also all three together called the designated organizations, they do that. And when the designated organizations are given now a quota system of only 10 applications, all of them are actually just discussing and revisiting their pricing, etc. Because earlier they could issue about 20 to 30 letter of supports per organization. I think they were also doing that. But now, since there are 82 designated organizations, what we are going to look at is 10 per, so 820 LOSs. That means 820 new PR files, and that is how the backlog is going to get cleared. This is the way the government is trying to clear the backlog. You have to show enough financial requirements. No startup can work without money, initial seed funding, etc. You have to keep it in your account, or members together have to keep it in their accounts. Ideally it should be more than 100,000. And with the this is I am giving you figures which are going to be very practically possible for you to get success. Success is very important. You can start with, I don't know how, whatever XYZ amount people are doing it for in market, but this is not how startup visa will now operate. Startup visa will now have a bar which has to set high, because that is what the purpose of the program is. It is to attract the quality, not the quantity. Language requirements is CLB5, which is very basic. But again, I always advise my clients that CLB5 do not target, always target a bit higher. Letter of support is the main thing, of course, without which you cannot move forward. Every designated organization has its own lens. But now what they will also check, IRCC, is the traction part, that how active is your startup even post you file permanent residency. And in case it is not, they can come for interview, they can call you for interview, they can come for random checks, they can give you a random call. Anybody in your group member can get a random call. And people, even on work permit, I have seen CBSA officers reaching to the workplace. So it's a whole lot of new work, new traction part, and it is something that has to be in line with your vision and goal. If you are not ready to be an active member, I don't recommend. There are various changes that have come to, as I discussed. It's also about capping PR applications with introduction of quota system. So now what will happen is that every IRCC officer has made a unit called the SUV unit, which is probably a desk with 2-3 chairs and SUV officers working on that file. But now it's everywhere across, so that IRCC officers are able to access the files. And for the startup visa, some are clearing the backlogs. The new ones, new offices, they are going to start with the new applications. Hence, the new applications that we will submit or are going to get submit will be processed in a timeline 12 to 16 months, and that is the commitment from the government. So that is why they have introduced the quota system. Priority processing will, right now they are saying they will give priority processing, but when in my opinion, when there will be a clearance of backlog, and when there will be so much of startups coming, like the quality of startups which are going to come in are going to be different, there will eventually all applications will be prioritized, and priority processing, I don't think it will make a lot of sense. Investor support or your own financial ability to show that yes, we have the money to run this startup is going to be one of the key factors now. In order to get 100% success in this program, one needs to invest in from ideation, business plan, development of MVP, development of tech, plus ongoing active management protection, the IPR, which is the intellectual property right for the startup. All this together only will make a conclusive startup, right? So this is if you this is the these are all the ingredients to a successful startup visa now. And yes, I have also seen that people who have already a startup working in one part of the world, they might be able to get some kind of grant rebate, maybe under the CRA. Different schemes are there if everything falls in place. Now, this is a roadmap of the SUV program that I've created, in which there's a step-by-step requirement. First is you fill in those application forms. Second is, of course, when you have somebody professional by your side, we take care of 90% of the work. But still, it is good for the client to know that what kind of process we are going to follow, and hence we have tried to create the roadmap. First is the application form for the designated organization. Then is the investment requirement, which we put, as a side on the side for the business. Then there is business idea evaluation, that's qualifying business. You have to pass security medical clearances, even IELTS sometimes before this stage. Then sixth is that you have enough funds to settle, because now designated organizations will check this as well. Then there will be an interview for you with a DO, and then the support letter issuance and language ability, so everything works together. Now, a lot of time I hear people say that they want to either buy a business in Canada or start a business in Canada. And can they do that? Yes, you can do that. There is no harm. But if you say that just merely buying a business will help you get permanent residency to Canada, no. That is now not how Canada works. By that way, I think entire developing countries would be in Canada in terms of just because they would know that they can buy and get PR. That's not how Canada works. Canada wants to see few of the basic things in your startup. Firstly, primarily being that how significant economic benefit this business is bringing to Canada. What is this business doing to Canadian market? Also, then even if you fulfill that factors, not needless to say that it is not a way of direct PR. Still, you will still have to do an LMIA for yourself as a senior manager of your company, which is just going to give you 200 points in your CRS, in your express entry. So you should be around, if you're around 300, 320, 330, this one's good for you to take that slight, because if you start a business or you buy a business, you can do an entrepreneurial LMIA for yourself, in which we help you do. I am not going to repeat what I've already presented on the presentation. So, but here's the thing that I will read, that if it's a helpful hint, if you are unlikely to find a profitable business with genuine potential for anything less than around 250,000 Canadian dollars. And believe me, this is just the starting amount you have. When you buy a business, always keep in mind that there is a running cost associated to it, and first 18 months are going to be your riskiest period. So what kind of business you are buying? I have seen people who have at least got a work permit to Canada and are inside Canada, them to buy a business rather than you being completely outside and having no experience at all, uh, rather, as compared to those people. So if a business is for sale for less than that, which is 250K, it is probably not a very profitable business. Also, you have to keep in mind that if a business is for sale, then why is it for sale? Either the owners are, they are aging, they want to retire, something that's a good reason actually. But in case that is not, then why is it even listed if it's so profitable? Good businesses are actually sold backdoor. So you can, once you are in touch with us as your professional lawyers, we are able to connect you to the right kind of people in terms of buying a business also. Once you land there, or you want to buy a business from outside and you want to visit that business, etc., those are different things. Now, business merely buying a business again is not a pathway to PR. You have to match your experience, you have to match your financial goals, also your skill set. Everything has to match because IRCC will look into that. So it's very important. Usually, more clients that I feel are comfortable is in starting a business. So it really depends on the kind of mindset that you have. In case you have not as of now, I have a playlist of business buying a business in Canada, and what are the due diligence steps, how you can start import export business. So many people want to do trading there. What are the policies? How to get the license? Everything is on my YouTube, and you can have a look at that, and maybe it helps you. And if it does, then kindly share and subscribe. Now, these are some of the legal insights and tips for this particular starting a business or buying a business. These legal insights that I'm sharing are actually based on our practical experience. It is very important. I wouldn't say 100% important, but I would say if you want a good success rate, then an immigration lawyer by your side, because not all businesses will be fulfilling your PR or residency goal, which is your end goal. In case it is not going to fill that. For example, people say that, Shireen, can I buy real estate and get PR? No, that's not how it works. Everybody in Canada, everybody wants to buy real estate. And then if you buy real estate and you get PR, then the housing market is as much in crisis right now. It's going to be in drain. So it's very important that you know the industries Canadian government likes, and you have to be idealistic in the approach, right? Not about not so you have to be idealistic and realistic, not very this thing in your approach that you can do anything and everything possible. No, it's not how gonna work. So ensure your business meets the immigration requirement. Legal and financial, not just I would say a lawyer is needed. I always say a CPA is, which is a CA, a chartered accountant, is needed for your buying business, because they will give you the due diligence number. I might just say that, okay, this is legally everything look good, but what are the numbers? Who's going to do the financial auditing of the business? So always have a chartered accountant. We can give you those services when you are working with us. Like we do have people who are associated to us to give, who are good enough to give that service as well. Always have external experts for retainers, all those things. Always manage confidentiality. Everything has to be managed in terms when you're buying a business. So just engage experts, because that is where you will actually save a lot of money later on. Our expertise is, of course, assisting foreign people, focusing on business, permanent residency, and then eventually leading to a citizenship. Now, this is what you are hearing, the most common program right now, because it's since LMIA and Starter Visa are all giving you direct PRs. When it comes to permanent residency, they are giving you direct PRs. C11 self-employed work permit is actually giving you a very good success rate right now. Now, what is the C11 work permit, and why do I have so many different faces here on the screen? Is because I'm trying to tell you that all kind of people who have some kind of skill set are eligible for this work permit if they have the investment to show, and eventually to make as well. So the C11 work permit is basically a work permit which is LMIA exempted, and C11 is the LMIA exemption code. So the work permit is self-employed work permit. It is a work permit which is given for you to come run your operations in Canada, and if you want to, after 1 year you can apply for permanent residency. That is also something that we figure out assessing each individual's file, and not something we commit from the beginning, because work permit is one thing, PR is another thing. You have to, even after 1 year, if you get those 200 points, you still have to be eligible. So all those factors we say, and we support you till your permanent residency. In C11, the work permit is usually given for 2 years and can be extended about 7 years. It is basically that you show that you have the skill set, the financial ability to come and start a business, run a business. Some people also do kind of if they want to buy a business, they prepare a strategy in place for the C11. You execute some parts of the strategy, and that is when you get a C11 work permit. The work has to be temporary because obviously, end of the day, work permit is a temporary resident application, and you have to show you are, it's a seasonal work, or you plan to leave Canada in a specified time. And the main thing that they want to see is that the work will generate significant economic, social, or cultural benefits. So there are particular industries which do well with C11, and we are going to see that in the next slide. Minimum investment, in my opinion, should be this much that you have to show. If you cannot show this much amount, then I see the chances of success in major areas of Canada will be less. But on outskirts, we can work around. Like we have had processed application, but the applicant was only able to show about $80,000 to $90,000. But we did not do the business starting in a GTA. I mean the Greater Toronto area or the main cities. We did it in a rural area. So that is where the client had to go initially and set up, or at least set up some basic operations. This is what a workflow chart of a C11 work permit would look like. You can also buy a business in this. For that, also, you need a strong business plan. You need to execute some parts of the business plan. Maybe you've opened bank account, maybe you've done some kind of corporate, you have done leads, you've done hiring. Some parts of the business plan need to be executed before we apply for the C11 work permit. This step actually evolves, shows your intention. You run operation for 12 months and you become eligible to apply for PR. Now, these are the legal insight tips that when it comes to a C11 work permit that I want to share here. And it is, choose the type of, you should either have a seasonal business. For example, you might be opening a seasonal business, say something related to maybe landscaping business, for example. But if you are not doing that, you're opening a financial consultancy, you're doing some kind of other work, then have a strong exit plan. Say, hey, I'm going to hire a senior manager and I'm going to leave the country. That's how you will get success. Business plan and financial forecast is very important. If you have 200,000 in your bank account and net worth and liquidable cash in form of anything, then do not show a business plan which is more than 150,000 in financial forecast. Practical BP is the key, otherwise you will get rejection. Significant benefit for this program is utmost important. And one such thing is economic benefit for the Canadian economy, advancement of a particular industry. And then the initial funds, as I mentioned, should be what you can see on the screen. More the investment you show, more the chances of success. So these are the some of kind of industries that Canadian government IRCC likes to see. At least the business is coming into this sector, and this is what they want to encourage. So many policies, so many rebates, so many things are available for such people. Especially research and development kind of rebates from CRA are possible. I mean, there are a lot of schemes. If you have a proper business in mind, we can help you execute the same. Let's come to the intra-company work permit, which is one of the programs of, again, an LMI exempted program. And ICT is an immigration pathway, again, under the International Mobility Program. If you have a parent company which is doing well, which you think is doing well in your opinion, even if it's a sole proprietorship, believe me, I'm able to pull off cases which have sole proprietorship but have good financial revenue, a good employee list, they have good staffing, right now staffing going on, they have good work orders, they have good service agreements. Then we either open a branch, affiliate company, or a subsidiary company of that company in Canada, and we help migrate the senior executives to Canada. They run operations for 1 year, and then again, like C11, they become eligible for work PR. So this is again a very good workable program because you are the owner of your own business. So you're really not dependent on your employer for documents. You yourself are generating those documents, and if everything is in line, this is a successful, these both work permit programs are really successful. And of course, if you're thinking direct PR, there is no such, except startup visa or other entrepreneurial LMI, no such program giving direct PR, right? So these programs are at least good in terms of giving permanent residency quickly. I'm not going go into the details here, but you once you get the presentation, you can obviously read it. I have seen rejection also, people getting rejected also in terms of intra-company work permit and any other immigration. Rejection is a part, and this is debunking one of your myth. First time application might be rejected. Second time, same application with similar documentation would be accepted. So because officers are also human beings sitting out there, they can also err. Just a second, I'm just going to drink some water. Okay, so let's say a poor presentation of the business when it comes to foreign company, a poor presentation of the now the officer doesn't know the parent company. It is your responsibility as the applicant to submit in front of the officer to say, hey, this is all that we do, even if we are a small size on internet, like we are not that visible on internet, but here is our documentation which is legally very strong in terms of our home country documents. Insufficient evidence is one of the key reason ICT applications are rejected. In case you are showing insufficient funds and funds are not matching with business plan, then there is a rejection. There is a lot of focus on active management and ownership of the parent company, which needs to be seen. Usually, people from the Gulf can show the company license with their names. People from India would show tax returns based on those, even if they're taking dividends from the company, they're still directors, sole proprietors, and those documents work. If there's a partnership agreement, we prepare documents. So we also prepare the corporate documents according to the kind of corporate structure you have, right? So that is very important. PNP programs again are based on their provinces are giving the option to have fill in their labor shortages, whatever it may be. Sometimes you might hear Saskatchewan is opening. Sometimes you might hear Alberta is opening for admin. Different. But now, in as the trend moves forward, because people abuse an immigration system, and that is why the backlog increases. PNP programs have really slowed down, but entrepreneurial PNPs, in case you are interested, is something that we can help you in. We do help people in creating the business plan which is accepted by the province. But remember, with PNP, one of the main thing is, again, you first have to go on a work permit and then you have to you apply for PR. Either that PR can be directly applied to the PNP, or through the express entry they will pick up the file. It depends on the kind of province you're going on. And yeah, for each province, it is so detailed that I would need to conduct a detailed webinar for each PNP. But having said that, I focus on, ACE Law focuses on entrepreneur PNPs. Now, these are some of the, again, the legal myths and insights, the insights about the uh, provincial nomination programs. Now, in C11, or the difference between a PNP work permit and a C11 work permit would be that if both are exempted, but the C11 work permit would, the officers would only want a part of business plans to be executed. Whereas in provincial nomination, the province gets so strict that they actually visit sites and everything when it comes to what you have done, how this much you showed in your BP, why haven't you done this? So there's a lot of cross questioning because it's very regional, and officers are able to see that it's very regional. They're able to locate the business, and then only they're going to issue the nomination letters. So this is the criteria is a bit high, but people who want to do can possibly do it. I have also added the slide of social cultural impacts, and this is very important in terms when you understand that because of the changing immigration laws, the mix of one kind of population decreased. For example, Canada did open, right? Canada did open population country-wise draws. That it Manitoba, for example, invited French-speaking people, started with French-speaking people, and so did federal then. So sometimes they want one particular culture, sometimes they don't want that particular culture, so they reject. Now they have a list of countries from where they are not inviting people, they don't want people. So it's just such internal policies, but if you study them in detail, you will know that, okay, why this policy landscape has changed. So this is just one of the social tips that I feel I have witnessed in immigration. It's also the Canadian government does not come out with the rules and policies blanketly. They have to maintain these three things. One is they have to balance the diversity and challenges. No, they don't want any particular ethnic background to over supersede the other one. So they try to keep a balance. There is societal harmony, obviously, because it's a multicultural society. End of the day, everybody you meet is gonna be immigrant sometime or the other, except the Red Indians or Inuits or those indigenous communities. 2024 immigration laws, again, they have evolved to just to maintain the other two things. These are the economic contributions that Canadian government wants to see in every program, in your business plans, in your submission letters, everything. These two are the key factors, and hence my business immigration focuses remains on these two primarily things. How we impacting the labor market? Are we bringing some skills which are going to be transferable, or are we going to get some money which is going to create jobs? Economic contribution is going to be there. So if these two plans are successful, chances of your success of your application is way above than others. There are obviously frequently asked questions, and I've tried to cover that as well in my presentation. How much money required for startup visa in Canada? I would say that nothing less than now Canadian 120 to 300,000, including the investment. But this is not the cost that I'm saying. I'm saying the investment you might need to show in your bank account, or you might need to just keep the net worth. Of course, the legal fee, etc. It varies depending on your particular profile, your particular family profile. Everything we have to look into before giving you the legal fee cost, because the work varies, but there will still be some standardized cost for the incubator, etc., which the details, in case you're interested, you can follow up with us. Apart from that, you also have to show proof of settlement funds. This first part that we discussed is about showing the net worth, because it's very important that you show that you have the liquid money to run the operations when you come to Canada. As I said, this is now going to be a key factor. Or you sought some investment from somebody, that also you can show. Which program should I choose to start a business in Canada, the startup visa or C11? Both have different things. One is direct PR, one is work permit plus PR. Again, the processing times can vary. Work permits are obviously faster than permanent residency files. As well, the startup visa is for people, I would say, who are ready to actually, both programs now require active management and involve significant investment to show at least. Do I need to provide English French language test for work permits? The Rule 200, subsection 3, subclause A does not say, but it gives the officer the discretion. So I have had applications go through without IELTS also in ICT or C11 work permits, but then I have also had applications wherein the education was not that much for the person, and the officer thought that, okay, let's just call in for an IELTS exam. Then they had to submit a IELTS exam for the client. So that is how it varies. But I always advise that take CLB6, give IELTS, and let's attach it to your file. In any Canadian immigration policy, your family and it's they're considered one unit. So children below 22 years, 21 years, 11 months, till then they are your dependents. So if you put your file before that, the file is logged in and they will become PR with you. Okay, now this is one of the major myths that I want to debunk. All programs can give guaranteed results. The Canadian immigration is a system of law and administrative policies with human officers working on your file. There is never a 100% guarantee in immigration. And the sooner you understand this, the more pragmatic your approach, you are, the more less frustrated you will be throughout your immigration process. Obviously, have your contracts in place, have everything in place. It is your right, but still be realistic. There is also a possibility that your application is rejected in first instance, as I said, and accepted in second. So resubmission is not something to run away from. Be open to resubmission, because officers do change with resubmissions. And if I feel the resubmission is worth it, I do it. And I insist my client on doing the same, and then we see positive results also. As a lawyer, I can assure, if someone is saying guarantee, it's a big red flag. Beware of anything that looks too simple and easy in immigration. It's a big red flag. Nothing is easy. It's a complex process. If done rightly and through the right professional, then it is easy. And when you do it rightly, you mitigate the chances of failure. That's all you do. What exactly constitutes a letter of support? As you know, the letter of support is given from a designated organization, without which you cannot apply for the startup visa program, and that is needed. And it has to be ongoing support that you get from the incubator or the venture capitalist or angel investor. Key mistakes that I have seen buyers make when they are purchasing businesses is that they don't understand the real value and potential of the business, and they also neglect the very important process of due diligence. You can embark your journey with ACE Law. After this webinar, you will be given a feedback form. You will be given access to a presentation and a guidebook, which I hope helps. Follow us on our social media channel. And yeah, thank you for joining us today. So I hope this was helpful session for all of you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Shireen, for giving us such knowledgeable tips and tricks how to migrate to Canada and internationally. So I have enabled the chat section for all the attendees, and I think some people have also raised their hands. So you can type in your queries in the chat section. So the panelists and like Ms. Shireen and I will be able to see the questions, and we will get back to you on those. So thank you so much for attending the webinar. And so somebody is asking if we could provide the slides. Yes, of course, we will be sending. Okay, there are a lot of, okay. So we will be sending this PPT along with a guide, which we promised, to your emails, as we have all your details. So some people are asking, how can we contact you? You can contact us through, we will share our social media links and numbers, and you can call us or maybe email us. And
yeah, our team will also be in touch with you if you registered it for the webinar and attended it. Then our team will also be in touch with you.
yes, so thank you so much. Also, in the emails that you've received from Zoom, some people are messaging Ms. Shireen. If you want to answer, you can just see those.
Yeah, I can give my email, no problem.
Yeah.
And you can reach out to me if you have any this thing. Also, if you think that, 1 second, I will just type in my email. Possibilities of converting possibilities of converting visitor to study permit. Possible, it's very much possible if you're given a letter of acceptance. But remember, home ties, etc., still need to be there because you still need to show you're going to go back. Is there any possibility? So if you are coming to Canada to take LMIA work visa, then that is going to be a closed work permit for you. Never in Canada you're going to get an open work permit unless there are 2-3 things that you fulfill, like you're a spouse of a closed work permit holder. There's no concept of open work permit otherwise. Yeah, everybody coming to Canada, welcome. Bachelor's 3 experience can apply work permit. Okay. Somebody is asking bank statement and LMIS. So if your LMIS is basically a job offer, if you're getting a job offer from a Canadian government, from a Canadian employer, then you don't need, the law says you don't need to show bank account, enough bank statement. You can have minimalistic about $10,000 to $15,000, and that will. So I think that's about it. If you have further questions, if you have any further questions, our team will actually follow up because it's becoming difficult for me to catch up with the speed of the chat. So it's better if we have a follow-up email, Suniti, and we can take it forward from there.
I have dropped in the email ID in the comment section, which is info@ace-law.ca. And also there's one more ID, which is Shireen@ace-law.ca. So you can email your questions or inquiries on these email IDs, and then we can get back to you. Also, I think most of the questions, you will get the answers once you receive the PPT as well as the guide. So, and our team will get in touch with you shortly so that you can, discuss further. So, thank you so much, everybody, for attending the webinar. Thank you so much, Ms. Shireen. It was very insightful. And
Thank
as
you.
you can see in the comment section, I think people are extremely
Yeah.
satisfied. And we'll get back to these queries shortly.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much.